Welcome to the Deception Narrative Workshop. I once assumed shepherds safeguarded their flock, but I've realized some merely search for prey. My name is Jude Brennan, and for 12 years I believed I possessed a marriage that others admired. Brooke and I met at college. She was pursuing social work while I was completing my engineering degree. We created something genuine, or so I thought. We purchased a home in a tranquil neighborhood, became members of Riverside Community Church, and befriended people who felt like kinship. Pastor Hayes and his wife Esther were part of our circle. They had been married for 20 years, had teenage children, and appeared as the ideal couple whom everyone aspired to emulate. I should have suspected something was amiss when Brooke started arriving home from women's Bible study. At 11 p.m., it began subtly. Minute alterations I convinced myself were ordinary. Brooke started adopting a new style for church, not suggestive, merely calculated with a different fragrance. She started signing up for every church event Hayes arranged. Marriage Improvement Planning Committee, Youth Organization Financial Arrangement Supervision, faith-based outreach organizations. It struck me that she had discovered her purpose by reconnecting with her faith on a deeper level. Then arrived the marriage counseling suggestion. Pastor Hayes recommends we attend some sessions. Brooke mentioned casually one Tuesday evening, as if discussing a new restaurant. To fortify our bond, many couples choose to do so. I didn't think it was necessary, as we weren't arguing. Our affection had dwindled somewhat, but with over a decade together, wasn't that natural? Regardless, I agreed. If my spouse wished to work on our marriage, I was fully supportive. The sessions took place in Hayes' church office Tuesdays at 7. Brooke requested individual sessions initially, for each of us to express our feelings privately before joint sessions. A strategy Hayes had explained seemed logical to me. I attended mine, discussing work pressure and longing for more intimacy. Discussing concerns about slipping into routine with Brooke, Hayes listened and offered sage guidance. Marriage requires daily commitment. You should continue courting your partner as you did initially because women desire to be pursued. Adopting his advice, I began spontaneously bringing flowers home, arranging date nights, penning love notes expressing affection, but she reacted unfavorably, annoyed rather than pleased. "You're being overly affectionate," she stated following my unexpected gift of concert tickets for her favorite band. "I require personal space, Jude, space to discover myself, space to grow and decide what I want from life, space to heal from unspecified past wounds." For the next 3 months, this phrase was often repeated. I need space. Eventually, on a random Thursday, Esther Hayes contacted me. "Can we discuss something over coffee, Jude? Let's find a place neutral to both of us." Esther sounded troubled, which is unusual for her as she's usually composed and steady. Today, however, she seemed fractured. It was unlike the gracious pastor's wife who remembered everyone's birthday and organized meal trains for those in crisis. In our meeting at a cafe 40 minutes outside town, Esther appeared exhausted, as if she hadn't slept in days. "I believe Hayes is having an affair," she revealed before I had even sweetened my coffee. Hayes goes by Christian, but everyone knows him as Pastor Hayes. I understand how such statements might seem, given the common perception when a spouse points fingers. They are often deemed as paranoid or insecure. However, I am not hallucinating about the credit card bills for hotels that supposedly housed him during denominational conferences. Nor am I conjuring up his sudden need to password protect his phone after 2 decades of openness. I'm also not fabricating his dismissive reactions when I pose questions. It was my gut, not suspicion towards Brooke, that sunk when the truth dawned. Instead, it was a feeling of sorrow for Esther being subjected to gaslighting by the man who was supposed to teach others about honesty and integrity. I inquired if he had addressed the issue directly, only to be advised that I'm wrestling with anxiety, prompting a referral to therapy. He is adept at making me question my own perceptions, as she stirred her coffee without tasting it. Yesterday, I contacted my credit card company, and they provided me with detailed statements from the previous year, listing charges at restaurants I don't recall visiting, a $8,000 jewelry purchase from Cartier, which I haven't received, recurring hotel bookings always on Tuesdays, a day when I had counseling sessions with Hayes. I found myself questioning the time of these Tuesday appointments as they were usually late, around 9 p.m., while I checked out the next morning. My sessions with Hayes ended at 8 p.m., and Brooke's individual therapy commenced at 8:30. She often returned home after 11, explaining that the sessions ran overtime because Hayes was assisting her in addressing deep-seated issues. The room swayed subtly, causing me to place my coffee cautiously, as if hastiness could cause the world to shatter entirely. Esther, it appears Brooke has Tuesday evening therapy sessions with your spouse. From 8:30 to 10:30, she seemed frozen solid, and then he informed me that Tuesday evenings were denominational conference calls. We sat in that cafe for 4 hours, comparing notes like detectives gathering evidence of a crime. The image we constructed made my stomach churn. Brooke's sudden involvement in church activities, all events organized by Hayes. The women's Bible study other church members weren't attending. The marriage counseling I believed would help us but seemed to widen the gap between us. Hayes' suggestion to give her space, a tactic to keep me at bay while he drew nearer. The hotel bills for nights Brooke said she was visiting her sister 3 hours away. What should we do, Esther wondered, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked bewildered. Proof is what I stated, tangible proof, not mere conjectures. We found ourselves unwillingly tied in an investigation. Esther unearthed years of financial records. Hayes managed the church finances as the senior pastor, and his record-keeping was messy. There were $17,000 withdrawals from the missionary fund that lined up with hotel expenses, $6,000 payments to a jeweler corresponding to a Cartier date, countless restaurant bills labeled as outreach dinners on nights Brooke told me she attended Bible study. It appeared Hayes was embezzling church funds to finance an affair with my wife. I secretly installed a legal GPS tracker in my car, which Brooke drove 3 days a week without needing a warrant since it was my vehicle. The pattern was incriminating. Every Tuesday at 8:15 she supposedly left our home for the church but instead drove to a boutique hotel 20 minutes away and stayed until 10:45, then returned home. I felt drained. One would think discovering a spouse's infidelity would provoke outrage, destruction, immediate confrontation, but instead I experienced this odd, chilling lucidity. As if I had been living in the fog and someone finally switched on stadium lights, everything became clear now. Her emotional distance, her irritability at my attentions, her need for solitude, she wasn't discovering herself. She was making space for him. However, I didn't confront her immediately, not just yet, because Esther uncovered something that altered the situation entirely. Jude, you must see this. At her attorney's office is where we encountered each other. She had discreetly mentioned the visit. Across the conference table lay papers that caused a chill: venue deposits, catering contracts, a wedding planner's invoice, all bearing Hayes' name. The date of the upcoming event was precisely 16 days following our divorce from Brooke's completion. It wasn't just an affair they were engaged in. They were preparing for a life together, a marriage, as evidenced by the wedding plans. They had chosen the church where we all had attended services as the venue, the same place Hayes spoke about sanctity, covenant, and faithfulness. Quietly, Esther handed an emailed correspondence across the table. It was from Brooke to Hayes, titled Timeline, detailing a step-by-step plan, suggesting counseling for distance, advising me to give her space, manufacturing marital issues as grounds for divorce, waiting just long enough after finalization to appear respectable, and presenting their rekindled relationship to the church as two heartbroken individuals seeking solace following failed marriages. I trembled reading it. They were using counseling, faith, and my trust in Hayes and his wife to systematically dismantle my life, crafting a narrative that would portray me as the failing party. "When is the divorce finalized?" Esther inquired. 4 weeks have passed since she filed 3 months ago, citing irreconcilable differences. I chose not to contest the divorce as she claimed we had grown apart and arguing would be unfair. My laughter seemed bitter even to me, believing myself to be mature and respectful. 17 days later, Esther's lawyer, a woman named Barrett specialized in both divorce and church law, suggested a plan. This strategy demanded patience, required me to maintain the act of an unaware husband amidst an amicable divorce, demanded Esther to conceal any issues at home while documenting Hayes' financial misconduct. Barrett filed a motion to prolong the divorce proceedings, citing unexpected financial complexities for examination, causing a delay of 3 months. Brooke was enraged, labeled me as petty, saying I was needlessly complicating matters. I apologized, claimed my lawyer was excessively cautious, but she accepted it. Meanwhile, Barrett constructed a case against Hayes that would destroy his career. Allegations included embezzlement of church funds, breach of pastoral ethics for counseling me while having an affair with my wife, offenses that would result in defrocking, fraud, submitting joint tax returns with Esther while living separately with my wife using church money. Esther filed her own divorce quietly, without announcement. She only separated their financial affairs, moved crucial documents to safety, and waited. The day arrived when Hayes and Brooke distributed their wedding invitations, inviting people from our church, our friends' circles, to celebrate their new beginning. The invitation was tasteful and religious. Join us as we celebrate God's restoration and the beauty of second chances. I spent a long time contemplating it. Half of me wished to burn it. The other half desired to shout the truth in front of everyone, but I didn't do either. Instead, I called Esther. It's time. Barrett had advised us to address this through appropriate denominational channels. Pastor Hayes answered to a regional bishop and a board of elders. They needed to witness his actions. We requested a formal meeting, framing it as concerns about pastoral conduct and church financial management. Hayes was unaware we were targeting him. He assumed it was routine business or perhaps complaints about a sermon topic. The gathering took place in the diocese conference room on a dull Tuesday morning. Attendees included Bishop Foster, 3 regional elders, the church's financial oversight committee, Hayes, Esther, me, and our lawyers. Hayes entered with confidence, offering his usual warm welcome to everyone. Unaware of the trap set for him, Bishop Foster initiated the session. Pastor Hayes, we have received grave accusations regarding your behavior and management of church finances. You are entitled to legal representation, and whatever you say will be recorded. I watched as the color drained from Hayes' face. Barrett placed a compiled report detailing financial misconduct spanning 18 months in front of everyone at the table. The 4th page showcased $43,000 in unauthorized withdrawals from the missionary fund. The 7th page correlated those dates to hotel bills, dining expenses, and lavish purchases, while the 12th page revealed these expenses corresponded with Mr.'s expenses during the same period. Pastor Hayes' interactions with Brooke Brennan, wife of a congregant he was concurrently advising for marital issues, led to a tense silence as pages turned. On page 19, Barrett maintained her composed and professional tone. The emails uncovered were between Pastor Hayes and Mrs. Brennan, discussing their upcoming wedding 2 weeks after her divorce finalization, a divorce that Pastor Hayes had inadvertently hastened through marital counseling sessions meant to widen the marital gap. One of the elders, a retired judge named Dixon, looked up gradually, stating, "You were counseling this man while involved with his wife." Hayes hesitated, trying to explain, "But Brooke and I didn't start our relationship until after." However, hotel records revealed their first shared reservation was 11 months prior. Barrett interrupted. "Mr. Brennan's counseling sessions began 13 months ago. 3 months ago, Brennan filed for divorce. Your wedding is set for 6 weeks ahead. Which part of this sequence do I misconstrue?" Esther spoke calmly but firmly for the first time. "He told me I was delusional, insane, that I required psychiatric care for suspecting his infidelity. For over a year, he has manipulated me, while secretly using church funds for his affair." Bishop Foster's countenance shifted from worry to barely contained fury. "Pastor Hayes, your immediate suspension is ordered. You are banned from church property until the investigation concludes. Your wages are frozen, and financial records will be handed over to the district attorney for potential criminal charges evaluation." Finally, Hayes spoke up. "You're siding with them. I've served this church for 18 years. I've counseled numerous couples, and you accuse me of fraud, embezzlement, and extensive ethical breaches." Elder Dixon halted him there. "If even some of it is accurate, your tenure has come to an end. If everything is true, legal consequences may follow." The gathering persisted for 2 more hours. They scrutinized each accusation, every document and bank statement. Hayes attempted to rationalize, downplay, and shift focus, but to no avail. The proof was undeniable when it concluded. Escorted by church security, Hayes departed. His office had already been locked and access cards deactivated, ending his career. I might have felt validated. Instead, I just felt weary. Brooke phoned me that night, distraught. She claimed Christian was suspended, with rumors suggesting he embezzled funds, implicating not only him but also you, Brooke. The accusations continued. An affair with our pastor, manipulating counseling to justify a divorce, planning a wedding prior to the finalization of our divorce, and orchestrating the entire scenario. Despite my calm demeanor, I had months to digest this news. Indeed, they're stating that because it's accurate, you were in the wrong for spying on me. Whatever Christian and I share is genuine, but you can't accept that I discovered something superior. You found your something better by ruining your marriage, his marriage, damaging his career, and stealing from a church. That's your version of better. You never grasped my needs. You never provided what I required. I invested 12 years in you. I trusted you. I was a partner willing to do anything to make you content. What you craved was drama, forbidden affairs, and the excitement of secret encounters. I paused. The divorce proceedings will proceed, I concede, But be aware that Hayes is under suspicion for embezzlement and could face charges. Moreover, the diocese is scrutinizing your knowledge of the source of funds for his hotel expenses and jewelry purchases. You may wish to hire a lawyer independently. She ended the call, and the consequences unraveled gradually, reminiscent of observing a structure collapse piece by piece. 3 weeks later, Hayes was apprehended, and he was indicted on embezzlement and fraud charges by the DA. He opted for a plea bargain, facing 4 years in prison, full restitution to the church, permanent defrocking. A public trial would have caused more damage. He chose discretion over destruction. Brooke never did get her wedding. She told everyone they had grown apart, but when the truth emerged, inevitably leaked through church networks, her social circle dissolved. People don't embrace the woman who ruined her marriage, her pastor's marriage, and embezzled from the church collection plate for hotel expenses. She moved to another state. I heard from mutual friends that she attempted to join a new church, but someone searched her name online and found news articles about her actions, causing her to leave before the first service ended. My divorce was straightforward, no children involved, assets divided equally without drama. Strange how easily something thought permanent could end. Esther's divorce was more complex. Hayes fought for everything, trying to hide assets while accusing her of contributing to their marital breakdown. However, Barrett was tenacious, and Esther received the house, majority custody of their children, and a settlement reflecting Hayes' misconduct. She rebuilt her life, and we remained friends, not romantically involved, but understanding each other in ways others didn't. We both had loved people who transformed our marriages into crime scenes. 6 months after everything ended, I encountered Elder Dixon at a coffee shop. He said, "Mr. Brennan," he stated, rising, "I wanted to shake your hand and express that you made the right decision, though a difficult one. Some individuals might have chosen silence, I considered it too, but simplicity isn't always best. Hayes brought harm to many, and you prevented further damage." He hesitated. "The church has revised financial monitoring procedures with mandatory audits and checks and balances. We ignored the red flags with Hayes. We won't make that mistake again." I acknowledged with a nod. It wasn't comfort exactly, but it was something good arising from destruction. 2 years later, I live in a different house, having sold the one at Brooke and moved away due to lingering memories, acquired a new job in another city, started visiting a therapist who genuinely helps without hidden motives or liaisons with clients. I no longer attend church. Perhaps I will return someday, but for now, the betrayal is still too raw. God and I are finding our way privately. Esther is doing well. Her children are flourishing. She returned to school, earned a counseling degree, now assists others in navigating infidelity and spiritual abuse. She transformed her tragedy into purpose. Occasionally, people ask if I regret revealing everything, wish I had walked away quietly, allowing Brooke and Hayes their affair without repercussions. I always respond no, because consequences matter. Those who misuse their power need to be held accountable. Theft is theft even when disguised in religious terms. The person Hayes counseled deserved to know his true nature. Mainly, I explain no, because I couldn't live with myself otherwise. Forgiveness and enabling are different. My forgiveness for Brooke and Hayes lies between me and my own tranquility, but staying silent while they inflicted harm on others would have made me an accomplice. The last time I heard of Hayes, he was working construction post-prison release. No church will ordain him again. His reputation is irrevocably damaged. A part of me feels compassion for his predicament, as he was human, imperfect, and broken like us all. Yet another part remembers sitting in his office, entrusting him with my marriage while he deliberately dismantled it, recalls Esther being told she was mad for perceiving the truth, recalls church families donating to missions funding hotel liaisons. Certain betrayals demand more than easy grace. As for Brooke, I seldom think of her anymore. One cannot miss someone who never truly existed. The woman I married was a narrative I invented, a role she played until a more enticing opportunity emerged. I've come to understand that love lacking integrity is merely manipulation with better packaging. I've learned that titles, such as pastor or wife, hold no value if the person wearing them lacks character. Most importantly, I've learned that standing up for oneself isn't vengeance. It's refusing to be the only one who pays for someone else's choices. Welcome to reality. It's raw, honest, and where true healing begins.